All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is honestly one of the biggest revolutions in modern neurology. It's the complete 180-degree turn on how we think about exercise and multiple sclerosis. A story that literally goes from a dangerous myth to an absolutely essential therapy. You know, for generations, this was the rule. No questions asked. The fear was that any kind of physical effort would just make your symptoms worse, or even worse, trigger a full-on relapse. And that advice, even though it came from a place of caution, created this culture of fear and inactivity for millions of people.
And look, we now know this advice wasn't just wrong or outdated. It was a genuinely harmful medical myth. It held back people's progress and their well-being for way too long.
But what if the very thing that people were told to avoid at all costs was actually one of the most powerful tools they had to fight back against the disease?
Well, that single question has kicked off a complete therapeutic revolution. Today, we know that targeted, safe exercise is no longer just, an option. It's considered a core, integral part of managing MS.
I mean, just look at this shift. It's night and day. The old belief was that exercise causes damage, and that the only way to save your energy was to rest. But the new reality, backed by tons of evidence, is the exact opposite. Tailored exercise is now a key therapy to manage symptoms. Activity is one of the best ways to fight fatigue. And it's gone from something to avoid to being an integral part of the treatment plan.
So how in the world did we get here? Let's get into the incredible science behind why exercise is so good for you. And it goes way beyond just, building muscle. We're actually talking about rewiring the brain.
Okay, so the impact here is happening on so many different levels. Of course, it helps fight that crushing, debilitating fatigue that is so common in MS. But the really amazing stuff is what's happening neurologically. It's neuroprotective. It literally protects nerve cells. It might even encourage myelin repair. And it promotes brain plasticity, which means your brain can actually create new pathways to work around damaged areas. And that translates into real, measurable boosts in memory, processing speed, and even mood.
And this is a really big deal, because around half of all people with MS deal with cognitive challenges, things like brain fog, memory issues, or just feeling slow. Well, research now shows a strong, clear link between being physically fit and preserving brain tissue, leading to better scores on cognitive tests. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. Exercising your body is one of the best ways to exercise your brain.
Okay, so the benefits are undeniable, right? But I get it. Those old fears about safety, they don't just disappear overnight. So, how do you actually start? The key is having a smart, safety-first game plan.
So think of it like this. There are 3 golden rules for getting started safely. First, get professional guidance. Talk to a physiotherapist who really gets MS. Second, you've got to manage your sensitivity to heat. So exercising in cool places is key. And third, maybe the most important rule of all, listen to your body. Short, frequent breaks are your best friend. They're way more effective than just pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion.
And that brings us to something super important that everyone needs to understand. It's called Uthof's phenomenon. So when you're exercising, your body temperature goes up. And if suddenly your vision gets a little blurry or you feel a bit weaker, it can be really scary. But this is very likely just a temporary reaction to that heat. The crucial thing to know is that this is not a relapse. It is not new damage. As soon as you cool down, the symptoms go away. Understanding this is everything. It's what takes the fear out of exercise.
All right, so we've covered the safety stuff. Now for the fun part. What should you actually do? Well, experts recommend a balanced approach, focusing on a trio of different workout types.
Think of this table as your go-to guide, kind of like a weekly prescription. You're aiming for at least 2 30-minute sessions of moderate aerobic activity each week. Things like walking, swimming, or cycling are fantastic. Then, add in 2 strength training sessions for your major muscle groups. And finally, don't forget to work in flexibility and balance a few times a week. Yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates, these are amazing for helping with stiffness and stability.
Okay, let's get specific now and talk about 2 of the biggest hurdles that can really get in the way: balance issues and a condition called foot drop. The great thing is, these aren't dead ends. There are specific problems that have specific exercise-based solutions.
When it comes to improving your balance, the whole game is about starting small and building up safely. It's a progression. You can start right from a chair or even lying down, just to build that core strength without any risk of falling. Then you can move up to standing challenges, and only when you're ready, you can try more advanced things like one-legged stands. It's a ladder that everyone can climb at their own pace.
All right, now let's talk about foot drop. This is when that muscle in the front of your shin gets weak, making it hard to lift the front part of your foot. It can cause your foot to drag or catch on the ground, which is a major trip hazard. It's a really specific muscle problem, right? Which is good news, because that means it has really specific solutions.
So how do you tackle it? It's really a three-part attack plan. A physiotherapist can give you targeted exercises and stretches to strengthen that specific weak muscle. You can also do exercises on your own, like simply practicing lifting your foot up against a resistance band. And for immediate safety while you walk, you can use orthotic supports, they're called HFOs, which physically lift your foot for you, giving you a safe and confident stride while you work on building that strength back.
You know, for so long, the conversation about managing MS always started at the pharmacy. But what if the most powerful, most empowering first step you can take isn't actually a prescription at all, but a single, intentional movement? The science is clear now. For people with MS, exercise is medicine.